Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're mapping out the strategic journey to securing an Australian student visa. And believe me, it has become a really complex path. So let's break down exactly what you need to know to navigate it successfully.
So on one side, you have the dream, right? Australia has world-class education, some of the absolute best universities on the planet. But on the other side, there's the reality for 2025 and beyond. The visa process has gotten so much tougher. Some universities are even banning applicants from certain regions. This means a smart, well-thought-out strategy isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely essential.
Okay, let's just dive right into this new reality. The first thing you absolutely have to wrap your head around is the single biggest change to hit the student visa process in years. Seriously, this shift redefines the entire application.
And that big change is the move from the old Genuine Temporary Entrant requirement to the new Genuine Student or GS requirement. Now, this is way more than just a new acronym. It's a fundamental change in how your application is judged. The focus now is on proving that your main intention is to study. But, and this is key, it also officially acknowledges that you might want to work in Australia after you graduate.
So, with that new GS requirement fresh in our minds, you've got to understand that your success actually hinges on decisions you make long before you even think about applying. It all starts with two big strategic choices, and the first one really forces you to ask yourself a pretty fundamental question about your goals.
You have to decide, are you going to follow a course you're truly passionate about, or are you going to be pragmatic and choose one that lines up with Australia's long-term skill needs? I mean, think about it. Something you study for just 2 years could easily become your job for the next 5, so this choice really matters.
The second huge question you've got to ask yourself is where you'll study. And this is not just about lifestyle, city versus country. This choice directly impacts your future work opportunities and any potential paths to residency down the line.
And this table just lays out the trade-offs perfectly. You've got the major cities like Sydney and Melbourne with that bustling city life, but if you study in a designated regional area, and that can include entire cities like Perth or Adelaide, you could get a longer post-study work permit and, this is crucial, broader access to the skilled occupation list for certain professions.
All right, so once you've made those big strategic moves, it's time to navigate the official enrollment process. Now, this part is less about broad strategy and more about precision. You have to follow a very clear, non-negotiable sequence to get that one document you absolutely cannot proceed without.
You have to follow these steps exactly in order. First, you apply to the school you've chosen. Then, you get a letter of offer. You accept it, pay the deposit, and purchase your health cover. It's only after you've done all of that that the school will issue the most critical document of all, your Confirmation of Enrolment, or COE. You literally cannot even start the visa application without it.
So, you've got your COE in hand. Now we get to the absolute heart of the new visa application, proving you meet that all-important genuine student requirement. And what's really fascinating here is how the government itself actually talks about the purpose of this new rule.
And what's so wild is that the government itself states that this new rule is designed to include students who might later apply for permanent residence. This is a huge deal. They're basically acknowledging those post-study ambitions, but it means you have to frame your case in a very specific way.
To prove you're a genuine student, you have to build a really compelling story that directly answers these 4 core questions on the visa form. They want to know your whole story, your current situation, exactly why you picked this course, how it's going to concretely benefit your future, and pretty much any other detail that can strengthen your case.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Your answers have to be incredibly concise and super powerful. You are limited to just 150 words for each response. That's not a lot of space, so every single word has to count.
And I can't stress this enough. Generic statements are not going to cut it. The official guidance actually says they're not given significant weight. You have to back up every single claim you make with hard evidence. Things like academic transcripts, proof of your employment, and documents showing your economic and personal ties back to your home country.
All right, let's move on to the final stage and see how this all adds up financially, because the commitment you need to show is, well, it's pretty substantial. First up, you've got the visa application fee itself, which is now a hefty 1,600 Australian dollars. But honestly, that's just the entry ticket. It's just the beginning.
The next hurdle, and it's a much bigger one, is proving you have enough money for your first year of living expenses. The government requires you to show that you have access to over $24,000.
And on top of all of that, you need mandatory overseas student health cover. The really crucial thing here is that this isn't just an annual fee. You have to pay for the entire duration of your course, all at once, up front.
Now, what's really interesting when you look at this slide is how it visualizes your initial outlay of cash. The single biggest chunk isn't even your tuition. It's proving you have the required living funds ready to go. This really shows that the government's main focus is on making sure you're financially stable from day one.
So, after you've submitted everything and paid all the fees, you've got a few final hurdles. You'll need to go for a medical examination, and then you enter the waiting period. And honestly, this can be the hardest part. While the average is 4 to 8 weeks, some people get their visa in a day, and others, well, they wait for months.
So the crucial takeaway from all of this is that succeeding in getting an Australian student visa now requires both genuine passion for what you're studying and very careful, cold, hard calculation. It's a strategic game. We hope this explainer helps you master both.